What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video here in my garage. Today obviously we're going to be working on the Supra again. But before we dive into that, I just want to tell you guys thanks for all the positive feedback that I've gotten over the last few days from my last couple videos. So I'll continue to crank some videos out for you guys, and you know, if there's something you guys want to see on this car or something that you're working on your car, same year, same motor, whatever, hit me up. Let me know if you want to see something in particular. One of the questions that I had so far was about the turbo taillights, turbo model taillights, and the three-piece spoiler. So I will do a video on that. We're kind of against my garage door here, but you can see I've added the three-piece taillights. So this piece, the centerpiece, and obviously the other side. I had also someone ask me about this. That's my battery kill switch. My battery is in the trunk just right behind here. So I'll do a video of that. This is a super easy install. It didn't take me very long, but there are some things you can screw up and you'll be drilling holes in your car and they'll leak. So I will show you guys more about that. And if you're interested in seeing the spoiler install as well, if you guys want to go from like a 1986 to no spoiler to adding a spoiler, or the GT style one-piece spoiler to the three-piece spoiler, let me know and I can show you guys how to do that. So, but again, I want to just express my gratitude towards everyone that's been reaching out to me and all the subscribers that I've had so far. It's super cool. I didn't know how well it was going to go and I was kind of skeptical about it, but I will definitely keep posting more videos. And yeah, so today what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be changing out my fittings. So I'm going to be running these push lock fittings with this different style hose. So right now I have on here just rubber lines that I want to get rid of. I've got a bunch of them just down here as well. And then I've got a Mac valve down here for my electronic boost control inputs on my ECU. So I want to get rid of that. It's kind of hard to see. It's tucked just down right down inside here. I know you can't really see it, but what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to add these fittings in. So these fittings are 1/8 NPT fittings, and then they are push lock style. So that hose just pushes in there. You want to release it, you just push this guy down and the hose will come back up. So, or come back out, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So I have added one onto this tile blow-off valve. You can see it's got one of the 90-degree fittings in there. Like I said, it is just a 1/8 NPT. So yeah, it fits in there pretty good, but I'm not gonna be using this. I am using a HKS SSQV, and it won't work in this application. You do have to use a rubber line for the SSQV. It does not have a threaded fitting on it. I will just leave that. It's just running up underneath here, and then up and around to the fittings on the back of the manifold there. So I won't be messing with any of that because that seems to be working just fine. All these fittings I got just from Amazon. I think they were 14 bucks. They're pretty decent quality. They seem to be pretty nice. And same with the line. It's just a thicker kind of plastic line. It says it can hold up to 150 PSI. I definitely not gonna be running that much out of this turbo. I just am looking more for like 30 PSI on the high end. So yeah, so I'm going to be pulling this guy off here, getting rid of this line here, running new fittings onto the Mac valve. And then I've got on the intercooler piping that's just actually right down inside here, there's a 1/8 NPT threaded fitting. You can see the intercooler pipe right there. It's just in that. So I'm going to pull that out. It's just a hose barb, and I will thread in one of the new fittings, cut the lines, and show you guys how to do it. So this bolt on the back here of the tile 38mm is a 10mm bolt for the banjo fitting. So I'm going to just pull that guy off real quick. Like I said, I just want to make it more simple to where I don't need to run these rubber lines and have them crack or stretch and start giving me issues. So pull that guy out right there. I'm going to put a turbo blanket on this. I'm getting a lot of heat through the hood and it's affecting the paint and everything on here. So I'm going to wrap it and get rid of a lot of the imperfections in the paint. I've also added a ducting that's just right there to try to get some airflow over the turbo. It seems to be working okay, but still a lot of heat. It just gets trapped inside here with the exposed turbo manifold and then the exposed turbine housing. There's just a lot of heat in here. So I haven't had any issues with the fittings and the hoses so far, but I wanted to do this so I didn't have to have those issues. So I'm going to probably fit one of these 90s on here. Go.
The Outer Banks, paradise on earth.
Probably just straight down in that spot there. That way it'll run between the turbine housing and the manifold. It should be fine. I think this hose is good for pretty decent amount of temperature and heat as far as this area goes. If I start running into issues, I'll just put some of that sleeving over there, over the line, so I don't get any like bubbling or anything weird like that. And then I'll just run that down through that slot there. So to give you guys a better idea of how this all kind of goes together, so just take your hose here, and then just kind of cut straight on that. Make sure that it's got a good smooth edge on this. It literally just pushes into this, and that's it. So you can see it's just kind of hooked in there. And then if you want to release it, all you have to do is push this guy down, pull it down towards the fitting, and it just comes off. So pretty simple, makes it a lot cleaner, and you can still kind of rotate this around if you need to, get it to where the positioning is that you need, and then you kind of just measure everything, cut it, and you're good to go. Okay, so I just discovered something, and this is again why I want to do this. So down here, if I can get some lighting in here, I got my dipstick tube in the way here. Hang on, let me grab a flashlight. There we go. So right there, you can see this hose had a screw in the end of it. I was just blocking it because I was going to hook it up to something else. Screw had blasted out of there. No screw. That's a vacuum leak and a boost leak. So I was having some weird issues. It was making the car run kind of crappy, and that would explain why. I already talked about this thing. The mass airflow sensor is very temperamental. If it sees any boost or vacuum leaks, it will run like crap. So that makes sense. So I've got a fitting that's on here right there on the compressor housing, and that's what was running up to the wastegate. And just to reiterate how much I hate dealing with these rubber hoses and how brittle they can be, I can't even get it off of the fitting just because it's been exposed to heat, and it's actually breaking apart as I'm trying to push it off of this banjo fitting that's on this housing. And give me all sorts of problems. There we go. There you go. Junk. Whole thing. Garbage. So to make life a little bit easier, I'm going to pull this intake pipe, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, I'm having a hard time with that. Anyway, I'm going to take this off just to try to get to some of these lines down here. So this line here, if you can see this line right there, this is for my idle air control valve. So I have this hooked in to this intake line or intake tube. If you don't do this and you're running an idle air control valve and you think you can just leave it open, it's going to act like you have the most major vacuum leak in the world. The car is not going to run very well at all because of this thing. So I put it just in here. The air is coming through here, it's measuring it, and then it's going through the hose, kind of underneath the motor, and then going to the idle air control valve. I haven't had any issues. Once I did that, it's been fine. So just keep that in mind. And I cannot wait to get rid of this, to get rid of this. It's just a pain. The technology's fine, it's just old. But running newer technology with the intake air temp sensor and all that, just getting rid of this whole gigantic mess of stuff here. And that thing's massive, like. So for those of you that don't know, inside here, like I said before in one of my other videos, there's a flapper inside here. So it's not even just like your newer mass airflow sensors. This thing's got a vane that moves and it's all run electronically. So they're very temperamental. Okay, so I got all that stuff off there. And now you can see, so this is for the idle air control valve that was hooked on that intake. I'm going to take this banjo fitting off because I don't need that anymore. And then down here on my intercooler piping, this hose right here is just threaded in. There's a fitting in the intercooler piping right there. I'm just going to pull all this stuff off, and I can utilize that fitting that I've already put in there and get rid of all this, clean all this stuff up here, and then I can run the new lines. Another piece gone. So this hose that I am running down here, I don't know if you can see it, that's running through the firewall. That's going to my boost gauge. So that'll probably be gone eventually. I'll be running a sensor so I can read that from the display from my ECU master. So I won't have an actual line going to that. It'll just be a couple wires running that sensor. But okay, so I got that off. The fitting's just right down inside there. I'm going to pull that fitting off. I'm going to put one of those new fittings on there, and then I can start cutting the lines and measuring everything. And then my MAC valve, it's still kind of hard to see, but the MAC valve is bolted onto the frame rail just right behind the shock tower here. I'm going to go ahead and just put those fittings in as well, measure everything up. Since I don't have the ECU masters running right this second, I am going to run an HBC manual boost controller, which is this guy right here. HBC, it's a decent quality. It's billet. It works fine. I'm going to run that just temporarily until I get my ECU masters all set up. That way I can control my boost still. I could just run regular wastegate pressure, spring pressure, which I think is an 8-pound spring. If I just run that, it'll run me about 8 to 10 pounds. So I'm going to throw this on though, because I am running bigger injectors. I do need to get a little bit more air pressure from the turbo, a little bit more boost to kind of compensate for that fuel. Just until I get it tuned. So it's just a temporary fix for right now. And then this thing will just go. Okay, there's the fitting right there. Just screwed it into the intercooler piping. Now I'll just run the line probably up underneath that, maybe on this side, and then up to the wastegate. Actually, I'll be running to the HBC manual boost controller, but hurry and throw those fittings in there, cut the lines, and then we should be good to go. And then I'm going to hurry and throw in the fittings for the MAC valve and just get that part of it done so I don't have to worry about that in the future when I get ready to get it tuned. All right, so I got them all in there. This line will come from the intercooler piping. This line will go to the wastegate. So I think that'll work pretty good, just temporarily. If you're not sure, if you have one of these and you're like, I don't know which line goes to what, just blow into one of them and then just adjust this as you go and you'll feel the pressure one way or another. So intercooler piping, wastegate. Also, to give you guys an idea, if you want to run one of these whole set turbos in your car, this is just a journal bearing turbo, but this is pretty cool. Spins almost as free as a ball bearing turbo, which is pretty cool. I've got a eBay turbo sitting here, and this is a dual ball bearing. It spins pretty good, but I just was not impressed with that turbo. I threw it on, I ran it for a little while, and it didn't do it for me. It's cheap. So in the long run, if you're looking at putting a cheap turbo on your car, don't skimp on cheap quality. Just find a cheaper turbo, cheap in price. Like I said before, this whole set turbo I picked up for like 75 bucks. It's the factory Cummins 12 valve turbo, I believe. And the HX35 is the 24 valve Cummins diesel turbo. So a lot of people will run an HX35 on like a 1JZ setup. I wanted it to spool sooner. So that's why I went with the HY35, which is a smaller turbine housing. The HX35 is quite a bit bigger than that. Still a T3. The HX is divided. The HY is not divided turbine housing. So, and then it's a 3-inch out the back. So, but it's a pretty decent turbo. The rebuild kit for it's pretty inexpensive. And you can rebuild it in your garage. I've rebuilt some of them before, and I'm going to rebuild this one soon. It's starting to puff a little bit of oil on startup. But other than that, it's been awesome. I haven't had any issues with it. It sounds really good. So, but anyways, I just got that manual boost controller all done, and I'm going to hurry and cut the lines for that, and we'll go from there. Right, well, so much cleaner. Comes off the fitting, wraps up around, goes to the manual boost controller, just temporarily bolted in place there. It goes in the bottom of that. Comes out the back right there. Goes underneath the turbo to the fitting right there. If you guys have any other questions as far as this goes, hit me up, let me know. Like I said, I got the fittings from Amazon. I got the hose from Amazon as well. It all plugs together pretty good. So pretty simple, and it's definitely cleaned up the engine bay quite a bit. So comment and subscribe if you guys like this video, and I'll keep cranking them out. See you later.